After you select the machine, go to Tool Manager in the Toolpaths. Open the tool library that you downloaded from the link in the description. Click on the one of the tools. Hit Ctrl+A on the keyboard, or just highlight all of them. And click this copy button to copy all the tools to the machine group. Click OK. And stock setup. I'm using cylindrical, Z, and I hit all solids, added a little bit to OD, and this is my stock. So this is my stock. And in the levels, I'm going to add one level. I'm going to call it roughen and fill holes, because for the first operation, I want to plug all the holes here inside. So I'm going to surfaces, select operation fill holes, activate in settings fill all internal holes, click on this face inside, click again, and we will have all holes filled. So Mastercam will create surfaces to patch the holes. Accept the settings, and now we are ready to set our first operation. So let's go to Toolpaths, and I'm going to use first 3+2 automatic roughing. And guys, if you want to find out more about this toolpath, about every option, about every settings in this operation, check out this video and I explain everything about 3+2 here. It is Mastercam multi-axis tutorial screen holder 1 of 3. As a tool in for our operation, I'm going to use 8mm with 1mm rad. As a stock, I'm going to use job setup at the moment. We'll come back later and I will create stock model, but I want to show you why and explain to you why I want to use this. Cut pattern, I'm going to use offset and with constant depth of 14mm, almost full flood of my cutter. I'm going to leave sorting and cutting method to zigzag, but my feed rate for conventional cuts I'm going to up to 2,500, and I want to machine by regions, so feature by feature. Finish first area before we move to another. Step over, I'm going to use 3mm. I'm going to use 3mm step over. Okay, that should be all on this page. Maybe in the surface quality section I can change cut tolerance to, let's say, 0.1, because it is roughing operation and we will be leaving some stock for further toolpaths. So I don't need as tight tolerance. So let's now go to model geometry and we will select our faces, what we want to machine and what we want to avoid. So first, what we want to machine. Okay, so click on selection button. And now track window highlighting what you want to machine. Okay, a bit more. I want to machine with the floor. This is what I want. Okay, so these are my machining geometry, what I want to machine. Make sure that you selected all the faces, otherwise cutter might cut through your walls. And now let's go and set stock on walls 0.3mm, and we're going to leave material also on floor 0.3. And the avoidance geometry, I want to add one group because we haven't got the group there. And with the selection button, we're going to highlight the remaining faces of the stock, of the 3D model. And let's select this face as well. So now let's have a look. Green is what I want to cut, and the purple I want to avoid. That's correct. So at the moment my depth cuts are set to constant depth of 14mm, but I want to add some intermediate cuts in between those main cuts. So navigate down to depth step, and this is a sub page of cut pattern page. So let's activate intermediate slices. I'm going to check the box next to it, and I want to change the cuts to be cut after each depth step and change to constant depth step of 2 millimeters. I'm also going to activate option machine flatlands, as we have a little bit of flat with a minimum width of 1 mil. So let's move to heights page, heights, and this is what is not working 100% in the first release of this toolpath, because Mastercam introduced this toolpath in this version, Mastercam 2021. It's not working perfectly, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to select, let's say, top of the stock, which is 0, and the maximum depth I'm going to stop somewhere closer, even here. Let's even change it to -25. So these are my heights. So I want to machine everything between 0 and -25 as user-defined depths or heights. Let's go to tool axis control, and we have 3 modes, but I'm going to set to manual. I just want to cut it from the top. Okay. And if you want to, the standard tool plane is top, but if you want to make sure that it is top, right click on this line XYZ, this blue line, and select tool plane, and you can select top. I'm talking about this toolpath more in the tutorial that I showed you earlier on. Okay, so I want to check my tool for collision and check against the faces of the 3D model. This is the first option. If we're not hitting with, if we're not colliding with any faces, and also I want to check if the tool is not hitting any in-stock process that is going to be left during roughing. Okay, so in linking, that all looks fine. Maybe direction, you can use either Z or machine direction. And I'm going to use user-defined height of 50 for my clearance. In the roughing, I'm going to change that to line and 90 degree for approach moves. And this should be all. So in the planes, I've got top, 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 as I use in most of our multi-axis toolpaths. Okay, all is good. Select OK button, and I'm going to pause the video so you don't need to spend time waiting on the toolpath with me. And this is our toolpath. All looks good, but if you have a look from the front view, you see that heights didn't work. So I've tried many different ways, and I can't get this option to work. And I contacted Mastercam, and they confirmed that this is the first release of this toolpath. It's not yet perfect, but I can tell you that in Mastercam 2022 it's fixed and it's working. But I've got the solution how you can control your depths. So let's put the pointer before this toolpath, and I'm going to select stock model. And it is a simple stock model. I'm going to select cylindrical on the Z-axis, and the height of this 3D model, let's click right click button and select set on the 3D model, and I'm going to change it to some equal number, maybe 53 mil, or not minus, you can't be minus 53, but it is in wrong direction, so I need to offset the stock origin in the coordinate -53. And the diameter, let's click right button and diameter on the arc, and select this arc, and I'm going to add few mil. I'm going to use 95. You can use 97, 93, whatever you want. Okay, and this is our stock model. So I'm going to cheat Mastercam that our stock model is only that height, so this is only material we want to cut. So let's go back to parameters, and in the stock I'm going to swap this stock to stock model, and I'm going to select the stock that I just created, and I'm going to use it only for the first operation. So I'm going to rename it to, let's say, Roughing 3+2. I'm not going to use this stock anywhere else. Okay, that's cool. Roughing. And let's regen. I'm going to pause the video again, and this is the result. So you see it's not going that deep. It just going to the depth of the stock model, and that's great. This is what I was looking for. And you can see the video of machining here. I just speed up a little bit, just cut it in a few places so you can see the result more than the machining. Okay, so let's now set up next operation, and let's take care of roughing this top here, this cross cutout. Okay, and for that I'm going to use standard 3D pocket. So select what you want to machine. So I want to machine just this top. Okay, so this is what I have selected. Containment. I'm going to keep the tool inside this edge, this area. Okay, I'm going to use 4mm flat end mill roughing. Okay, I'm going to add coolant. Surface parameters. I'm going to switch off clearance, and I want to leave 0.2 for my finishing toolpath. Rough parameters. I'm going to leave maximum step down on 2 mm, and depth steps, or cutting depths. I'm going to select depths, and from here to here, and I don't have any critical depth, so I'm going to hit escape key on my keyboard. I'll change that to -8, and I can start from -2. Pocket parameters, I'm going to do parallel spiral, 60% step over, 0.5 mm here with the cutter compensation on the computer. Okay, so finish 0.5 cutter compensation. Let's see the result. Yes, I'm happy. We are cutting through this face here. So that's good. At this stage, we have everything roughed out from the top view. Okay, I mean the whole top. Now it is time to rough out a little bit inside, and for that we are going to use OptiRest. Okay, dynamic OptiRest. Before I do that, to eliminate the air cuts, I'm going to create a stock model, and the stock model as my stock definition, the initial stock definition, I'm going to use a stock setup. So everything that we set here, we're going to use, and the source operations, I'm going to select those two operations. In the stock definition, you can change the material to a glass. You can change the color. and you'll be able to see through the 3D model, through the stock, actually your 3D model. And to do that, you have to be able to see through the stock, you have to go to View tab and switch on Material Rendering in Appearance tab here section. So now you can see through your 3D model, which is cool. Okay, and before we set up next operation, which is OptiRough, I'm going to create some boundary for the tool. Okay, so click right mouse button and let's start with the front view. And in the level I created OptiRest boundaries, so I want everything to be saved on this level. Okay, so I created a new level with the name OptiRest boundaries. So first we are going to create this tool containment boundary, and I'm going to select the rectangle. Okay, and I want roughly to have that area. Okay, because I want to machine everything here inside and pass through those cutouts. So I'm happy with this, and now you can see it's saved on this level. Now we can go to Toolpaths, and in the 3D gallery I'm going to select OptiRough. And first we are going to start with our machining geometry, and I'm going to leave stock on walls and floors 0.3 mm for my finishing toolpaths, and I'm going to select by dragging the window across the top only. Okay, so I want to have only these bits selected. That's fine. I'm going to use avoidance geometry as well, 0.3 mm, and I want to select the drum part of this 3D model, plus this face here. Okay. In the toolpath control, I'm going to select this rectangle that I created. So we need to be on the wireframe mode, chain, and select, click on the rectangle. Stay inside, that's fine, center, and I want to switch off skip pockets. I want to machine pockets, and as a tool I'm going to use 8mm rougher with 1mm corner radius. Stock, to eliminate the air cuts, I'm going to use one other operation, and I'm going to select the stock model that we just created. Cut parameters. I'm going to optimize step ups by next closest, optimize step downs by air. Let's say I'm going to use 5mm step over and 10mm step downs. And as a step ups, actually I'm not going to use step ups. So that's fine. Let's go now to transitions. I'm going to leave transitions as default, steep shallow, and I want to adjust for stock to leave, plus I want to do maximum depth. I want to limit the maximum depth in the Z. Okay, so at the moment we are on the front view. All right, So our middle of the part is exactly on 0. So I want to pass this center at least the radius on my tool, which is 1, and a little bit to overlap. So I'm going to go to minus, let's say 2. And linking parameters, I'm going to set to minimum vertical retract. I'm going to extend this a little bit, entry, and in arc, I'm going to drag that to 85. Planes, your work coordinate system is your where you set your 0. So it's a top, and we are working on the front. So if you haven't got the front here, click on the plane selection button and select front and pass it to the construction plane. So top, front, front. Coolant, I want my coolant on. Okay. So this is our toolpath. Okay. Backplot looks okay, and at the moment we have machined internal part of this 3D model from the front view. To meet in the center, I'm going to machine using the same operation but from the back. So it is easy to do. What we want to do is highlight the last operation, right click copy, right click paste, go to parameters of this last toolpath, and we're going to change only one thing on the plane tab. So on the plane parameters, I'm going to change my tool plane and construction plane to back. So working coordinate system is top, and my tool plane and construction planes are on back. Okay, and this is our toolpath. Okay, so let's quickly verify it. So I'm going to make sure that I've got number 1 stock model selected, because I want to start simulation from that point. Okay, and now let's select those 2 operations and verify. Okay, so now let's quickly have a look into the simulation, and this is how the toolpath looks like. That's from the front, and now it's from the back. Of course, our 5-axis machine will rotate the C-axis. Okay. So as you see, guys, the 3D model is roughed inside, but only from front and from the back. Okay, and from the back here. So now we have to rough the material using the same toolpath, but from the left hand side and right hand side to get the middle out, this remaining wall. And the first thing I have to do is translate this containment boundary that I used in the front and back view. So click left mouse button while you're holding shift key, and then press dynamic while you have the whole square selected, rectangle, and rotate it 90 degrees. Remember to be on the copy mode on the method. Okay, and now we have our new tool boundary. That's cool. Okay, let's go back to Toolpath Manager, and as I mentioned, we are going to use the same toolpath again. So right click on the last operation, the most recent operation, copy, right click, paste, and we're going to change only two things. Go to the parameter of the toolpath you just paste in. So we want to now rough it from this side. So go to toolpath control, remove the boundary chain with this cancellation button, and reselect new boundary, new tool containment boundary. Okay. Now what we need to do is go to plane and select, let's start with right plane. And now using the copy button, move it to construction plane as well. So we have work coordinate system top and tool plane construction plane on right. Now this new operation I'm going to copy after, and inside this new operation in parameters we need to change just the plane. So I'm going to use tool plane and construction plane left, as we want to machine now from the opposite direction. So we have right and left, rough it from the right and rough it from the left. Let's see the toolpath. So let's regenerate the toolpath and see how it looks like. Nice. So as you notice, we have a bit of air cuts in this section here. To eliminate all the air cuts, we have to create a stock model in between those operations. So I'm going to move my marker one up and create quickly stock model. And in our stock definition page, this stock model I'm going to use as our initial stock. So I'm going to use this most recent stock model. And my source operations, not these two last operations. I want the result of machining the first two OptiRest. So this is my initial stock, and next two operations are my source operations. Okay, so the stock model will be computed from those two operations. Select OK, and this is our stock. So now when we reassign the stock into our two new operations, Mastercam will know where the material is and what to machine. So let's go to parameters and let's reassign the stock to the one we just created, so which is stock model 2. And we do the same with the last operation, and that's correct. Okay, so now we have everything ready. Let's regen the toolpath and voila, a lot better. We don't have those air cuts. I'm happy with the result. And guys, remember that it's a tutorial and we could rough this part quicker using different methods, but I want to show you different techniques, different operations, and how you can use different tools to rough different section of the 3D model. So now, after roughing the whole internal bit here, it is time to rough the rest of the 3D model. And for that, we are going to use Rotary Advance. But before offset the Rotary Advance operation, I'm going to add another stock model. Okay, and as my initial stock, I'm going to use the last stock model, which is number 2. And in the source operations, I'm going to add 8 and 9. Okay, let's change the color so we will be able to see what was done with those internal operations, what we machined. And this is our stock model. Okay, so you can see now that this different color is just what was machined in those 2 operations. You can change the color on the other bits as well, so you'll be able to see other steps. So now you see blue was machined by that. Okay. Anyway, now we can set our roughing operation for the whole body. And I'm going to use a Rotary Advance. And it is easy toolpath to set on for roughing. Okay, so I'm going to use 8mm carbide ball nose coated cutter. And as a stock, if you use the stock as a job setup, you could basically machine rough out the whole part, including a little bit inside. But I wanted to show you different methods of roughing as we are learning here. So as a stock model, to eliminate the air cuts, I'm going to use our stock model 3, which is the last one here. Okay. In the cut pattern, you have 2 methods, finishing or roughing. I'm going to be using roughing. You have only one pattern here. Offset. I'm going to use offset. You can have offset plus a spiral, but I want to use offset. Cutting method, I'm going to use zigzag because we'll be roughing between blades here and inside the pockets, so I want zigzag. In constant depth step, Mastercam will keep each depth constant and it will be always the same size. In our example, we are going to use adaptive depth step, and here the distance between each depth cut is adjusted within defined range, and we can set it by using the minimum distance percentage. Minimum distance, this is the minimum percentage distance that Mastercam can freely adjust the depth of cut to process the flat areas. When we switch on additional cuts, Mastercam will add depths in the areas that we couldn't reach in adaptive depth step because the diameters maybe were outside the range of minimum distance. So that will help to reach depths that adaptive depth step couldn't reach. Okay, I hope that's clear. Maximum step over, so it's the distance between each pass. I want that to be 2 mil. Part definition, so wall surfaces is basically our 3D model. So I'm going to drag a window or triple click or Control A is different methods you can use to select the whole model. And I want to leave 0.3mm stock for our finishing toolpath. And because it is a roughing operation, I'll add a little bit to cut tolerance, so it will speed up regeneration of the toolpath. And axis of rotation, direction, click on select button, and I'm going to my levels where I created a center line for the rotary axis, and it is between the front diameter and very end diameter. It is a line between centers. And of course, to create it, use the wireframe tab. and just start the line in the center of on the back and finish on the center in the front. And in the machining area, we have only one selection possible. It is possible also to limit our toolpath by using the user limits. And axial, it is possible to set the start and end value of the axial machining area. And only between the start and finish, this 3D model will be machined. And the radial, it is possible to set the start and end value to define the radial machining area, and only between this value toolpath is calculated. So basically, I'll show you. Let's set the minimum radius, and nothing below the minimum radius will be calculated. So as you see, the minimum radius works the way that Mastercam created the first or the deepest cut on radius 30. Okay, let's go back to parameters, and because I want to machine it to the center, I'm going to switch off the limit. Okay, let's regen the toolpath. And this is our toolpath. So you see now we are going almost to the center. Okay, most of the part is roughed out. Now it's time to start roughing the internal pockets. And as you see, there is no easy access to rough out this area. We could use each window and drive the tool through that, or we can simply rough out through that hole here. And this is what we're going to use. So first we're going to rough the first pocket, the first depth, the first level, okay? This depth here. Going back to my levels, and I want to activate fill holes. And this is what I'm going to rough out, this pocket inside here. And for that, I'm going to show you how you can use parallel toolpath to rough difficult features with difficult access. And I'm going to use 4mm ball nose. I'm not going to use stock. My cut pattern page, and parallel to, I want to select curve, and I'm going to select curve around. So I want to be here, the edges as a selection mode, and I'm going to go around the part here. This way. This way. Okay. So we selected the top edge of that pocket, okay, as a pattern too, okay, and our drive surface is going to be that internal pocket. So you can click on that with the shift key, click on the face with left mouse button while you're holding shift key, and add those surfaces here. So this is our selection at the moment. Okay. And I want to full start and end at exact edges. I want to leave 0.3 millimeter for my finishing toolpath on each drive or each surface. I don't need the tolerance to be that high because it's just a roughing. The maximum step over, I'm going to use 1.25 millimeter. I'm going to use one way and flip step over. So I want to start from edge to the center, and the cut pattern I selected, the pattern 2 is towards the edge. So I want to flip step over to cut away from the pattern, okay? From the edge. Okay. I'm going to use exact tool axis control. I'm going to select from point, okay, and I want to select a point with the selection button. I want to be on this level. I want to add it to this level, and I want to select the center of this top edge, or RWCS. Okay. In the collision control, I want to trim tool paths if any of my tool parts would hit this, or this. Okay, so basically you can put the 3D model like that and drag the window to select the whole top. And I'm going to unselect drives, and I'm going to add second level to retract the tool if my fluid, so I'm going to, if my fluid will touch any of drives or the check surfaces, it will retract the tool to the surface or drive level. Okay, and I want to add those 4 faces, because when I cut from here, I don't want my tool to hit those surfaces. And I'm going to add additional 0.1 millimeter. Okay, so we've got that. Now linking, I'm going to do direct here and leave that as it is. Go for automatic here, plus 30 mil here. So the height is going to be automatic by Mastercam, and my incremental height is going to be 30 mil. In the roughing, I'm going to add some depth cuts, and I want 3 depth cuts with 3 millimeter deep each. Okay, I'm not going to use any finish passes because I want my step over to finish the faces. I want my step over to be very small distance, not like 1 mil, to get very nice finish. And let's have a look what we have at the moment. So my planes are top. Okay, this is our toolpath. All looks good. Yes, I'm happy with this. Okay, and let's quickly run backplot simulation, as I want to show you how this tool axis control from point looks like. So we selected the point to be on this top face, in the center of this top face, and the tool is driven from that point towards the machining surfaces. So that's second depth, and this is our third depth cut. Okay. So this is how you can use parallel multi-axis toolpath to rough things, even with the difficult axis. Okay, and now we are going to rough out this deeper pocket inside. Okay, and we will use a slightly different technique. We're going to use parallel as well, but I'm going to show you different method of roughing out pocket. Navigate to multi-axis gallery, select parallel, and we are going to use 6mm ball nose. Okay, I'm not going to use any stock. Cut pattern. As pattern 2, I'm going to use surface, so all my cuts will be parallel to the surface, and this is my surface I want to be. I want my cuts to be parallel to. Okay, so the top of this pocket. And try surfaces. I'm going to select only walls of this pocket, just 2 walls. Okay. In this method, you can select the whole pocket, but I'm going to use only walls. Okay, in our example. So I didn't select the radius in the bottom, the fillet, just the walls of that pocket and nothing else. And I want my cuts to be one way, and you want to make sure that you have flip step over, because our pattern 2 is the top face. That means the cuts would go normally from bottom towards our pattern 2. So flip step over, that means we will be cutting the pocket from top to the bottom. The area type, I'm going to select full avoid cuts at exact edges, and I'm going to change surface quality to 0.2 or 0.3. We are only roughing this pocket, and it will speed up the calculation. Maximum step over, I'm going to use 2mm, and I'll leave the rest as default. That's okay. This is okay. This is okay. Tool axis control, I'm going to use again from point, and from this point here. Okay. So from this point, which is the center of this edge here, and from point, that means our tool will be cutting this pocket from this point, so we will avoid hitting anything outside. So that's fine. Collision control, I'm going to use only trim and drive and check surfaces, and I want to select the top here, the top of this 3D model, as a check, just in case the tool during the retraction would hit something or anything like that. I'm going to use as avoidance. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to use trim contour for safe retract. In linking, I'm going to select direct only option. I'm going to leave at 150. And now, instead of using this method or multiple passes, I'm going to show you different method of roughing out pockets. So we're going to select this mode, Morph pocket, and you can go outside towards inside your cutting, or inside towards outside. Okay, I'm going to go from inside to outside. Full pocket, and I want to do spiral, so it will be constant move. Let's change the step over to 2 mil, and let's see our toolpath. There you go. Nice. And it is from point, so our tool is going to be locked into that point, and from that point we'll be machining surfaces. Okay, as our last operation in our first part of the tutorial, we are going to use Morph toolpath to rough out 4 pockets on those 4 arms, those 4 cutouts. Okay, before I set the operation, I'm going to create some geometry around the pocket. So I created a level that is active, Morph Roughing Wireframe, I called it, just so I know what it is inside. And navigate to Wireframe, create curve on one edge, and I'm going to create a curve around this pocket. Okay. Now I want to break that in 2 equal sides. So I'm going to use break 2 pieces, and first you click on the wireframe piece, and then you show where you want to cut it. So this sign line with the cross, it means that you are exactly in halfway. So I'm going to cut it here, split it, and now I want to split this wireframe exactly in the same spot opposite side. So it's gonna be 1/2 and 1/2. Okay. So we have now two nice chains that we can use for morphing. Okay, so now navigate to Toolpaths, and from multi-axis gallery, select Morph. I'm going to use something small, 3mm ball nose end mill. And the cut pattern, I want to use pattern from curve. Click the selection button, and I want to use wireframe mode and partial chain. And I'm going from here to here. This is my pattern from the green chain, and pattern 2, I'm going to select the opposite side. Okay, from here to here. This is my pattern 2. And my drives, I'm going to select everything inside here, this pocket. So this is my pattern 2. These are my drive surfaces. Means what I'm cutting, what I want to cut. Okay, and I'm going to leave point 2 for my finishing toolpath. And because we are leaving point 2 on it, I don't need that to be that tight, so we don't need to change anything here. That's fine, that's fine. Step over, let's say I want 0.3mm. Tool axis control, let me just have a look into here. It's approximate, yeah, that's correct as well. So in the tool axis control, I want my output format to be on the 4 axis. Okay. And I'm going to, at the moment, I'm not going to use those settings, because what I'm going to do is direction is Z, and I want to point my tool to rotary axis. And I want to lock my tool roughly 20 degrees. So when we go back here, we don't have any more those settings. Collision control. I want to add some check surfaces. Okay, just in case. And linking. I'm going to use direct and direct. Okay. Okay, I'm going to maybe change that to 50. And in roughing, I want to add depth cuts, and let's say I will cut it in 4 depths, 1 millimeter each. Okay, space between. So 4 passes, 1 millimeter depths. And let's have a look at the toolpath. Okay, so at the moment, as you see, we have 4 depths, but we have a lot of air cuts. So let's go back, and in the stock, I'm going to use stock model number 3, most recent 3D model, stock model. Let's have a look how it looks like now. Oh, that's a lot better. See? Nice. But we are cutting at the moment only 1 pocket, roughing out. So let's go back again, and in the utility tab, I'm going to transform toolpath 4 times 90 degree. Okay. Around the Z-axis, 4 times 90 degree. Sort by complete toolpath. So we are going to finish 1 pocket before moving to another pocket. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back again and link in. I'm going to retract clearance area for the large gaps and region again. Okay. So if you want to eliminate a lot of those cuts, you can go auto here, and as a value, we're going to do 20 millimeters. Let's see this. A lot better. Okay. Another one small change. I'm gonna change that to cylinder, 60 millimeter around Z-axis. Yeah, I'm happy with this. It looks really good. No retractions, just nice retraction when it passes to another section. Okay. So now I can leave just my 3D model, and this is how it looks like. Nice. So that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's a lot more to come, and hit the like button if you find it useful. Also, you can don't forget to download 3D model as well as tooling database, and practice. The more you practice, the better you become. See you in the next video. The next part is going to be released within a week. Thank you.